One of the most striking features of modern dictatorships is the cult of personality, the deliberate construction of an almost mythical image around a single leader. This phenomenon goes far beyond traditional respect for authority. It seeks to transform a political figure into an object of worship, portraying them as heroic, infallible, and indispensable to the nation's survival. Through relentless propaganda, censorship, and emotional manipulation, dictators weave themselves into the very fabric of their citizens' lives. The mechanics of a cult of personality rest on several interconnected elements. First is media control. In states dominated by authoritarian rulers, newspapers, radio, television, and now digital platforms are tightly monitored. Only flattering stories about the leader are permitted. Failures are downplayed or blamed on others, while successes, real or exaggerated, are attributed solely to the ruler's genius. Second is symbolism. Portraits, statues, slogans, and public rituals ensure that the leader's presence saturates daily life, reminding citizens that their destinies are bound to one figure. Third is emotional appeal. Dictators often present themselves as paternal protectors, military geniuses, or visionaries chosen by destiny, cultivating loyalty that is not merely political but deeply personal. History offers vivid examples. In the Soviet Union, Joseph Stalin's carefully curated image portrayed him as the wise father of nations. His likeness appeared everywhere, on posters, in classrooms, in factories, and in people's homes. Writers and filmmakers glorified his leadership, while schoolchildren were taught songs of devotion. Behind the image, of course, lay purges, forced famines, and labor camps. Yet the cult of personality was so powerful that many ordinary citizens believed in his benevolence, even as they suffered under his rule. In China, Mao Zedong perfected similar techniques. His words were enshrined in the Little Red Book, carried by millions as a symbol of loyalty. Public rallies and mass campaigns elevated him to near godlike status. To question Mao was to risk ostracism, imprisonment, or worse. The cult not only legitimized his policies, but also created the illusion of unity, even as disastrous initiatives like the Great Leap Forward caused widespread famine and death. Other regimes offer equally striking illustrations. In North Korea, the Kim dynasty has pushed the cult of personality to extremes, presenting its leaders as almost supernatural beings capable of miraculous feats. Stories circulate of Kim Jong-il inventing entire sports or controlling the weather. Absurd claims designed not necessarily to be believed, but to reinforce the aura of divinity. In Iraq, Saddam Hussein's portraits lined the streets, his speeches broadcast continuously, his military uniforms and heroic imagery crafted to project dominance, even as his regime inflicted terror on its citizens. Why does this strategy work? Scholars suggest that the cult of personality taps into fundamental psychological needs. In uncertain times, people crave stability, belonging, and protection. A leader portrayed as wise and invincible offers reassurance. The cult also simplifies politics. Complex social problems are reduced to the narrative of a single savior guiding the nation. Political scientist Juan Linz argued that dictatorships built around personal authority often endure longer than those relying solely on institutions, precisely because of this emotional bond. Yet the cult of personality is not invulnerable. It can backfire when the carefully constructed image collides with reality. When promises fail, wars are lost, or living conditions deteriorate, the myth begins to crack. The fall of Nicolae Ceaușescu in Romania in 1989 provides a vivid example. For decades, he cultivated a godlike image, but once protests erupted and security forces faltered, his cult evaporated almost overnight. The same statues that once symbolized strength became symbols of arrogance and oppression. Critics also caution against overemphasizing the role of personality cults alone in sustaining dictatorships. These regimes rely on a web of factors: military strength, secret police, economic control, and the suppression of dissent. The cult of personality is powerful, but it functions as part of a larger system designed to immobilize opposition and magnify obedience. Still, its importance cannot be dismissed. The cult shapes how societies remember their leaders and how opposition movements frame their struggles. Breaking free from authoritarian rule often begins with breaking the myth, tearing down statues, dismantling propaganda, and restoring space for alternative narratives. Even decades later, societies wrestle with these legacies, debating whether to preserve monuments, erase symbols, or reinterpret them as warnings. Ultimately, the cult of personality demonstrates the extraordinary lengths dictators go to secure power not just through fear, but through belief. It reveals how propaganda can turn leaders into legends, and how legends can blind entire nations to oppression. By studying this phenomenon, we better understand both the fragility of truth in authoritarian systems and the resilience of human societies that, sooner or later, begin to see past the myth.